There's something about being at the war memorials in Washington, D.C., or at Arlington Cemetery that hits different. It feels more solemn. You understand the sacrifices of war a little bit better. You feel more connected to the American story. But many veterans themselves never get a chance to have that experience. A program changes that by flying people from the North Country to D.C. North Country Honor Flight on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Pearsall Wealth Management at UBS Wealth Management USA, subsidiary UBS AG, member FINRA SIPC, 1 Broad Street, Glens Falls.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Monday, June 24th. First up, a challenger to Congresswoman Elise Stefanik may not make it onto the ballot this November. Earlier this month, Scott Lewis's petition to run for the 21st Congressional District was deemed insufficient by state officials. Amy Feiereisel has more.
34-year-old Scott Lewis, an independent, filed his ballot petition with the state in May. To get his name on ballots alongside Republican incumbent Elise Stefanik and Democratic challenger Paula Collins, Lewis needed 3,500 signatures. Lewis says he turned in over 3,800. The State Board of Elections says they counted just under 3,500 valid signatures. That's because some sheets were unnumbered, and there were errors with witness statements. That's the part where a witness swears they saw each voter sign. A Board of Elections official told the Adirondack Daily Enterprise that not claiming signatures correctly is a fatal flaw to a petition. Lewis says he was not given a designated 3-day period in which to fix technical violations. Lewis has appealed the Board of Elections decision. A hearing is scheduled for this Friday, June 28th in Albany. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio.
Winter Realms, a new Lake George winter attraction last year, will not be returning this winter. Winter Realms featured weather-hardy elements like holiday light walks and a synthetic ice skating rink. It replaced the previous ice castles, which featured a giant castle built from ice. But due to warming temperatures, Ice Castles only opened for 22 days during its final year 2 winters ago. Brad Bullhorn, who managed both Lake George attractions, told NCPR last year that Winter Realms could be the answer to consistently providing, quote, wintertainment.
The entire aim of this project was to create an authentic winter experience that can be enjoyed whether it's 5 degrees outside or 50 degrees outside.
But the profits weren't the same. Ice Realms operated at a loss, prompting Bullhorn to pull out of Lake George for the coming winter season. Lake George has not announced future plans for a replacement winter attraction. The Adirondack Regional Airport in Lake Clear is trying to figure out how to pay for renovations. Estimates are coming in over budget. The question is who will pay the difference. NCPR intern Zach Jaworski has more.
The Adirondack Regional Airport has wanted to modernize its terminal for years. Initial renovation estimates exceeded $16 million, but those plans were scrapped in favor of a simpler, cheaper design. The Adirondack Daily Enterprise reports that the renovations were supposed to be funded entirely by a 2022 State Department of Transportation grant. But that couldn't entirely cover the costs, and now about $200,000 will be needed from Harrietstown's Airport Reserve Funds. They're the municipality that owns the airport. That's caused divisions in the Harrietstown Town Council. One councilman was opposed to using reserve funds because he thought funding for the project would be covered entirely by the grant. Others felt that it was hard to ask the state for more grants when Harrietstown has more than $2 million in its reserve. Last week, the council voted to use the reserve funds if needed. They say Harrietstown is still applying for state and federal grants to try and cover the budget gap. It's unclear when construction would begin. For North Country Public Radio, I'm Zach Jaworski in Canton.
Over the weekend, 30 North Country veterans of Vietnam, Desert Storm, and the Cold War flew together to Washington, D.C. to visit the memorials to the wars they and their comrades served in. The They're part of the North Country Honor Flight. Since 2013, the nonprofit has flown almost 900 North Country veterans to the Capitol at no cost to them. On Saturday, they started at Arlington National Cemetery to watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Then they continued on to the memorials to the U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Barry Finnegan is the director of the North Country Honor Flight. He told Monica Sandreski his involvement in the group is personal.
My parents, unfortunately, were both World War II veterans, but they never had the opportunity to go. And when I saw what Honor Flight was, I said, you know what? My parents can't go, but I can make sure everybody else's parents do. So I kind of made a promise to myself to do everything I could to get everybody down to see their memorials on an Honor Flight.
Wow. And, this weekend it's 3 Cold War veterans, 1 from Desert Storm, and 26 folks from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Can you tell us more about who these folks are?
We're sending 30 veterans each day that we fly, which is 4 times in a year. So each time it all depends on who's on the list to go. They got veterans that have been waiting to go. Unfortunately, those are the healthier, younger guys. The older guys go immediately, like the Korean and the World War II guys, which we have on our next flight. But this flight here was mostly all Vietnam guys and the 2 Cold War. They served between Korea and Vietnam, which puts them as Cold War. The one other guy actually joined during Vietnam. He could be considered a Vietnam vet, but he chooses to go down as a Desert Storm veteran. And that's what he's proud of most, so that's what he's going as.
When you're with the Vietnam veterans and they're in front of the wall, how have you seen them respond?
Oh my gosh, it's each one, you could tell what it means to them. And of course, many of those veterans, they avoid that wall. They haven't wanted to go just because they're just, I don't want to say they're scared of it, but they know what's going to happen when they get there. They've already run through it in their minds, and when somebody finally makes the decision, okay, it's my time to go, and they get to that wall, then everything comes flooding back. All the memories, all the people that they lost, and all the people that are on that wall that were in their units. Just incredible. At that point, I back up. You need to give them a moment, and they'll gather themselves pretty soon. And the good part is many of them walk out of that area feeling great relief.
When you talk with the veterans who go, what has this meant to them to be a part of it?
Oh my gosh, it's a life-changing event for most of them. You just the stories they tell you, what they did, and they're so proud of their service, and a lot of times never had the opportunity to tell anybody that. And when they know what's coming up, and then when they finally see what happens, many of them come back home and say, that was the best day of my life. And a statement like that doesn't get any better, right? It's that's just a huge, huge statement on what we're doing. And we've got a great group of volunteers putting this whole program together. They make everything happen seamlessly, and it's just a great program for an all-volunteer organization. That's the kicker. There's no paid staff here. There's nobody on a payroll of any sort. Every dollar that we get in donations goes towards putting veterans on an airplane. That's it. Like I say, it's very rewarding. Sometimes I feel selfish. I wish people could hear and see the things that I get to see. It's really a privilege to be able to do this.
That was Barry Finnegan speaking with our Northern Light host, Monica Sandreski. The next North Country Honor Flight is scheduled for August 31st. So if you know a veteran who served in World War II, Korea, or Vietnam who'd be interested in participating, you can find a link to sign up at our website, ncpr.org. We have lots more news there all the time, ncpr.org. Music today by B. Children of Canton and Matt Bullwinkle of Potsdam. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.